Before the sun rises, something powerful is already moving. Every new day begins in darkness, and in that darkness, God gives you the authority to speak light. The first voice that should shape your day is not the world's, not the news, not your phone, but heaven's voice through your mouth. You don't wait for the day to define you. You define the day before it begins. Because the moment you open your mouth in faith, creation listens, angels respond, and the atmosphere shifts in your favor. Today, we're not just starting a morning, we're commanding a destiny. Before the sun ever touches the horizon, before the first bird sings, before the world begins to move, there is a sacred moment, a divine silence, when heaven listens for your voice. That's the moment to command the morning. You see, every new day is not just another routine. It's a spiritual battlefield waiting for the voice of authority. The question is, whose voice will it obey? You were never created to wake up reacting to the world. You were created to speak to it, to call it into divine order. When you open your mouth at dawn and declare the word of God, you are not just praying, you are legislating. You are establishing law in the unseen realm. You are setting boundaries that darkness cannot cross. The morning is not just a time, it's a gateway. And whoever controls the gateway controls the day. That's why the psalmist said, "Early will I seek you." Because early is not about the clock, it's about priority. Before you talk to anyone, before you face the challenges, before you scroll through the noise, you command the morning. You align your spirit with heaven's agenda, and when you do, something begins to shift. The atmosphere bends to your words. The winds of favor begin to move. The unseen becomes aligned with the promises of God, because creation still remembers the voice that said, "Let there be light." And when you speak his word in faith, creation recognizes that same voice through you. Every declaration you make carries weight. When you speak peace, confusion has to scatter. When you declare victory, defeat loses its permission. When you say, "This is the day the Lord has made," you're not describing time, you're activating purpose. You're saying, "This day belongs to God, and nothing contrary will stand." But hear me, if you do not command the morning will command you. If you stay silent, the enemy will speak. He loves to occupy the silence of unspoken faith. That's why you cannot afford to let a single sunrise meet you in silence. You must speak. You must declare. You must take authority over every hour that lies ahead. When you rise with purpose, heaven responds. Angels are dispatched, doors open, and strength is renewed. The world around you begins to mirror the power that flows from within you. And that's when you realize you're not just waking up, you're awakening destiny. So tomorrow morning, don't just open your eyes, open your mouth. Don't just check your clock, check your alignment. Before you face the world, face heaven. Before you step into the day, speak into it, because whatever you command at dawn will respond throughout the day. And when you understand that truth, when you truly master the art of commanding the morning, you'll be ready for what comes next. The power of early declarations that frame your destiny before the world even begins to move. There's something extraordinary about the first words that leave your mouth in the morning. They carry more power than you realize, because the first words you speak become the framework of your day. They create the blueprint your life will follow. You see, words are not just sounds, they are spiritual seeds planted in the soil of time, waiting to produce what you believe. Every morning, heaven gives you a blank canvas, a fresh, untouched day, and then waits to hear what you will paint with your declarations. That's why what you say at the start of a new day determines what you'll experience before it ends. You can't speak defeat and expect victory. You can't complain and expect peace. You can't curse your situation and still expect blessings to flow. Your mouth decides the direction of your day. When you rise early and begin to declare the promises of God, you are setting spiritual boundaries. You are telling fear, you have no access here. You are telling worry, you will not live in my mind today. You are telling favor, follow me wherever I go. It's not superstition, it's spiritual law. Because your declarations are not just words, they are decrees. They summon what heaven has already prepared for you. That's why the psalmist declared, I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress. He didn't just think it, he said it. Because nothing changes until something is spoken. Heaven moves when your faith finds a voice. Demons tremble when your authority is declared. Angels are released when your confession aligns with God's truth. So every time you open your mouth in faith, you are commanding the invisible to manifest in the visible. But here's what most people miss. Your declarations are not meant to come after the problem appears. They're meant to go before it. Before the storm rises, before the challenge comes, before the enemy whispers, you've already spoken victory. You've already declared light. You've already sealed the outcome with your faith. That's why early declarations are powerful. They frame your future before the battle begins. When you speak at the dawn, you are not just reacting, you are creating. You are setting in motion a divine order that tells every hour of your day how to behave. You are shaping circumstances before they take shape around you. That's why silence is not an option for a believer who understands purpose. Because if you stay silent, something else will fill that space, and it may not speak life. So every morning, open your mouth with intention. Speak peace. Speak favor. Speak strength. Don't wait for things to go wrong before you start declaring what's right. Because your words today are already building your tomorrow. And when you learn to declare early, before the world begins to move, you'll begin to experience something greater. The supernatural alignment that happens when your spirit and heaven's agenda meet before the dawn breaks, before the world wakes up, before the noise begins, before the rush of life starts pulling at your mind. There is a sacred moment, a holy stillness when heaven leans in to listen. It's in that moment that destinies are aligned, strength is renewed, and divine order is established. The early hours carry a spiritual authority that most people ignore. Yet those who understand it walk in a peace the world can't explain and a power the enemy can't resist. When you rise before the world moves, you step into a dimension of clarity that only the quiet can reveal. You begin to see not just with your eyes, but with your spirit. You begin to hear the whispers of heaven before the distractions of the day drown them out. That's why the wise never start the day unprepared. They align their spirit before they engage their schedule. They speak to heaven before they speak to men. Because alignment is not automatic, it's intentional. Every day begins neutral, waiting to take its shape from your spiritual position. If you rise worried, the day bends toward fear. If you rise in faith, the day bends toward victory. That's why prayer before dawn is not a religious ritual. It's a spiritual reset. It pulls you out of the noise of yesterday and connects you back to the divine purpose of today. Think about it. How can you conquer a day that you never committed to God? How can you expect favor in places where heaven was never invited? The early hours are heaven's invitation for you to come into agreement with divine order before the chaos begins. That's where alignment happens. When your will bows to His, your thoughts surrender to His word, and your emotions submit to His peace. When your spirit is aligned, you stop chasing what's temporary and start commanding what's eternal. You stop reacting to life and start directing it. You stop living by circumstances and start living by conviction. Because a person who begins the day in alignment carries authority that no situation can shake. The storms may come, but your peace stands still. The challenges may rise, but your focus remains anchored. And the secret is simple. Start before the world starts. Pray before the pressure begins. Declare before the doubt appears. Because whoever begins the day with God finishes the day in victory. Every morning becomes a partnership between heaven's power and your obedience. And once that alignment is in place, no force on earth can derail what heaven has designed. So when you wake tomorrow, don't rush into motion. Pause for alignment. Before you reach for your phone, reach for His presence. Before you plan your tasks, plan your declarations. Before the world wakes, let your spirit lead. Because once your spirit is aligned for supernatural success, then, and only then, can you step into the next dimension, where the hidden power of the Psalms begins to unlock miracles in your daily life. There is a reason the book of Psalms is filled with power, rhythm, and revelation. It's not just poetry, it's a code, a spiritual technology designed to unlock heaven's response when spoken with faith. Every line in the Psalms carries divine DNA. Every verse holds a frequency that aligns your spirit with God's heart. The Psalms are not just words to be read, they are weapons to be released. And when you learn to use them at the beginning of your day, something supernatural begins to happen. When you wake in the morning and declare, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," you're not reciting a verse, you're activating a covenant. You're reminding both heaven and earth that lack has no place in your life. When you say, "He that dwells in the secret place of the Most High," you are not whispering comfort. You're declaring jurisdiction. You are marking your territory in the Spirit, setting divine boundaries over your life and everything connected to you. You see, the Psalms were written from the depths of human experience. Fear, pain, victory, faith. But every word was inspired by God. That's why they carry timeless power. They translate your emotions into divine authority. They give language to your soul and strength to your spirit. When you pray the Psalms, you're not just speaking your thoughts, you're speaking God's will back to Him. And heaven always responds to its own language. The enemy fears believers who understand this, because when you speak from the Psalms, you're not fighting in your own strength, you're fighting with eternal truth. You're using words that have already defeated giants, silenced storms, and shaken kingdoms. The Psalms are not ancient, they're alive. They breathe, they move, and they manifest in the mouth of faith. That's why your morning routine should never begin without the Word. Before you face people, face the presence. Before you handle problems, handle prayer. The Psalmic code is how you reprogram your atmosphere. It takes your emotions and aligns them with revelation. It turns worry into worship, pressure into peace, chaos into calm. Because the moment you begin to declare, "This is the day the Lord has made," heaven begins to organize that day according to divine order. But here's the secret most never grasp. The Psalms only release their full power when they are personalized. When the "Lord is my shepherd" becomes your truth. When "He will deliver me" becomes your decree. When "The Lord is my light and my salvation" becomes the rhythm of your confidence. That's when the word transforms from information into transformation. So tomorrow, when you rise, don't just read a psalm. Release it. Speak it until your atmosphere shifts. Declare it until peace fills your space. Because hidden inside those verses is the voice of God waiting to echo through you. And once you've unlocked that divine code, you'll be ready for what comes next. Learning how to establish dominion at dawn, when your words begin to create the very world you will walk in. Every new day is not just a gift, it's a territory. And like every territory, it must be claimed, governed, and ruled. The morning is not just a time of day, it's the seat of dominion. Whoever takes control at dawn determines the outcome of the hours that follow. That's why you cannot afford to wake up casually. You were not created to observe the morning. You were created to command it. From the very beginning, God gave humanity dominion. Dominion means rulership, authority, influence, control. It means you are not a victim of time. You are a steward of it. Every sunrise presents a throne, and the question is, who will sit on it? Will fear take the throne? Will doubt? Or will faith rise and take its rightful seat? When you wake up and begin to declare the word of God, you are not begging for favor. You are enforcing kingdom order. You are speaking divine law into motion. You are telling every force of darkness, every distraction, every delay, you have no power here. Because the moment you speak in faith, heaven backs your decree. The unseen realm moves at the command of your words. That's what it means to establish dominion at dawn. You begin your day from a place of authority, not anxiety. You speak peace before problems arise. You release blessing before battles appear. You are no longer reacting to life. You are directing it. Because your words were designed to create, to form, to build. And when spoken in alignment with God's will, they construct realities the world cannot undo. The reason most people lose their day is because they enter it unarmed. They let the morning slip by in silence, unaware that silence is an open invitation for chaos to reign. But when you rise with purpose, when you open your mouth with confidence and begin to speak life, you reclaim what the enemy tried to claim overnight. You redraw the boundaries. You say, this mind is protected. This home is covered. This day is blessed. That's dominion. Dominion doesn't mean life will be free from challenges. It means challenges will no longer control you. It means when the winds rise, your spirit stays anchored. It means when things shift around you, nothing shifts within you, because you have already established your authority before the storm began. So every dawn, take your stand. Don't just watch the sunrise. Speak into it. Don't just see the light. Command it to favor you. Begin your morning as a ruler, not a reactor, because creation still responds to the voice of its king. And when you speak, the day must obey. And once you learn to establish dominion at dawn, you'll begin to understand the deeper mystery. How your words don't just shape a day, but form the destiny that awaits you in the light that follows. Every sunrise carries a message, a reminder that light always follows darkness. But most people wake up and move through the day without realizing that the morning is not just a change in time, it's a spiritual announcement. When the light breaks through the night, it is heaven's signal that a new opportunity, a new assignment, and a new mercy has just been released. And yet, how many people miss it because they start their day reacting instead of declaring? You were never designed to be a victim of the day. You were designed to govern it. From darkness to destiny, every morning offers you the power to decide what will live and what will die in your atmosphere. When you rise and speak the word, you are doing more than praying. You are transforming the unseen into reality. You are pulling your destiny out of the shadows and into the light. The psalmist said, "Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning." That verse is not poetic comfort. It's spiritual revelation. It means that the night is temporary, but the morning carries restoration. And if you understand the power of declaration, you can call forth that joy even before you see it. You can speak life while standing in the ashes, and heaven will honor your faith. The transition from darkness to destiny is not automatic. It is commanded. You don't wait for the day to decide your outcome. You prophesy your outcome into the day. You decree peace before chaos appears. You declare strength before weakness whispers. You speak abundance when the world shows lack, because your words spoken in faith are bridges that carry you from uncertainty to manifestation. And here's the mystery. Darkness is not your enemy, it's your testing ground. The night is when faith matures. The morning is when faith manifests. The two work together to prepare you for destiny. But the key lies in your declaration. When you begin your day by speaking light, everything hidden in darkness must respond. Fear loses its grip, confusion clears, purpose awakens. So the question is, what will you say at the break of day? Will you allow yesterday's failures to follow you into today's favor? Or will you draw the line and say, that was the night, but this is the morning? Because every declaration you make shifts something in the spirit. Your words become commands, and creation adjusts itself to obey. When you understand this, you no longer wake up waiting for life to be kind. You wake up commanding kindness, declaring clarity, activating destiny. The day becomes a reflection of your authority, not your anxiety. So the next time you see the sun rise, remember, heaven has already given you permission to speak. Don't waste the moment. Stand in the light, declare your destiny, and watch the darkness disappear. And once you master this, once you learn how to turn the morning light into divine movement, you'll be ready for what's next. Building your personal altar at dawn, where the fire of prayer ignites the momentum that carries you through the day. Every great move of God begins at an altar, not a physical structure made of stone, but a spiritual meeting place where heaven touches earth and man communes with his Creator. The altar is where power is exchanged, where weakness becomes strength, and where clarity replaces confusion. And the most powerful altar you can ever build is the one you raise every morning before the world begins to move. Before you step into your meetings, before you face decisions, before you engage the noise of the day, there must be a moment when you bow, when you center yourself, when you lift your voice and say, Lord, align me with your will today. That is the altar of the morning. That's where divine momentum begins. Because if you do not build your altar, something else will build it for you. The world will try to construct one of worry, distraction, and pressure. You'll find yourself offering your peace to stress, your time to chaos, your energy to things that drain your purpose. But when you rise early and establish your altar in prayer, you set the tone of your entire day. You establish spiritual order before you step into physical activity. The altar is where you make divine exchanges. You give God your fear, and He gives you faith. You surrender your anxiety, and He fills you with peace. You lay down your confusion, and He gives you direction. It's not about how long you pray, it's about how deep your surrender goes. Because heaven only responds to hearts that are yielded, not just words that are spoken. When you build your altar, you are declaring, this day belongs to God. You're saying, every decision I make, every conversation I have, every challenge I face, I will not do it in my strength. And when you make that declaration, heaven partners with your intention. Angels are assigned, wisdom is released, and unseen forces begin to move on your behalf. The altar becomes your command center for victory. But here's what makes the morning altar powerful. It must be personal. It's not about reciting memorized prayers or repeating empty phrases. It's about authenticity. It's about conversation. It's about coming before your King and saying, here I am. Mold me, guide me, use me. Because when your altar becomes a place of genuine encounter, it turns ordinary mornings into supernatural beginnings. Don't wait for a church service or a special event to build your altar. Build it daily, right there in your room, in your car, in your quiet space. Let every sunrise find you speaking with your Creator before you speak to anyone else. Because once the fire of your altar is lit, no darkness can put it out. And when that fire burns consistently, you begin to carry its glow throughout the day. Peace follows you, wisdom leads you, favor surrounds you. And when you've built your morning altar, you'll discover the next revelation, that every word you speak at dawn becomes heaven's first conversation on your behalf. Every morning, heaven waits for your voice. Before you check your messages, before the world demands your attention, before life begins to pull you in every direction. There's a moment when heaven leans in to hear what you will say. That's the first conversation of the day, and it should never belong to the world. It belongs to God, because whoever you talk to first determines who shapes your thoughts, your emotions, and your direction for the rest of the day. When you begin your morning in prayer, you're not performing a religious routine. You're opening a divine dialogue. You are saying, Lord, I don't want to move until you've spoken. I don't want to plan until you've guided. I don't want to act until I've heard from you. That's the language of alignment. That's how heaven's agenda begins to merge with your own. And when you start your day this way, something begins to shift. You no longer walk into the day uncertain or anxious. You walk in with divine confidence because you've already heard from the King. You've already received heaven's instructions. The confusion of the world loses its grip on you because your heart has already been anchored in His presence. You see, prayer is not just talking, it's listening. It's the exchange of thought, the synchronization of spirit. When you pause to listen after you've prayed, heaven begins to download strategy, wisdom, and peace that no meeting, no mentor, no motivation could ever give you. That's why the most successful people in the spirit are those who know how to wait on God before they move for man. And let me tell you something. Heaven's first conversation always carries direction. It's in that stillness that you'll hear the whispers that change everything. You'll hear, don't rush that decision. Make that call. Forgive that person. Step into that opportunity. And when you obey those whispers, your day becomes orchestrated by divine timing. Suddenly things begin to fall into place, not because you planned perfectly, but because you listened intentionally. When you neglect that first conversation, you allow noise to guide what only His voice was meant to direct. That's why so many start their mornings drained, because they begin with reaction instead of revelation. But when you start your morning with heaven's voice, you activate a peace that no circumstance can shake. You become untouchable by chaos, unbothered by delay, unmoved by fear. Every word from His mouth carries life. Every whisper carries strategy. Every instruction carries victory. And when you make it a habit to hear from heaven first, you'll discover that the rest of your day becomes a reflection of divine order. So tomorrow morning, before the world reaches for you, reach for Him. Before you speak to anyone, let heaven speak to you. Because one word from His presence can accomplish more than 1,000 efforts from your own strength. And when you master this first conversation of heaven, you'll be ready for what follows. Learning how to release the language of light and use your declarations to govern everything that unfolds in your day. Light is more than what your eyes can see. Light is revelation, understanding, truth, and power. And every morning when light breaks through darkness, heaven is giving you a prophetic picture, a reminder that revelation always follows surrender. That's why your words at dawn are not just communication, they are illumination. You are speaking light into everything that was hidden, unclear or uncertain. You are releasing the language of light. In the beginning, when God said, "Let there be light," He wasn't talking about the sun or the moon. Those came later. He was calling forth divine order, clarity, and purpose out of chaos. That same power lives in you. Every time you speak the word in faith, you are echoing that same command into your day. You are saying, "Let there be light in my thoughts. Let there be light in my home. Let there be light in my path." And when you do that, confusion cannot remain, fear cannot stay, and darkness cannot win. You see, darkness doesn't leave because of effort. It leaves because of light. It's not your strength that shifts your situation. It's your revelation. When you begin to speak the truth of God's word over your day, light begins to break through. Every declaration becomes a sunrise in the Spirit. Every verse you speak becomes a beam of truth that exposes the lies of the enemy. The language of light is not emotional, it's intentional. It's choosing to declare what God said, even when you don't feel it yet. It's standing in the dark and saying, I believe anyway. Because light doesn't wait for proof, it creates it. That's why the psalmist declared, the entrance of your word gives light. Every time you open your mouth with faith, something enters your atmosphere that shifts reality in your favor. And hear me, your declarations don't just change your day, they govern it. When you speak light, you are setting boundaries for darkness. You are authorizing peace to rule your space. You are commanding every unseen thing to align with divine order. Your words become the laws that your environment must obey. That's why the morning is sacred, because the first voice to speak determines what the day will serve. So, start your day not just with prayer, but with power. Don't just react to life, create it. Don't just hope for light, be the one who releases it. Because when you speak light, you activate the creative power that formed the universe itself. The world around you begins to respond, align, and yield to the authority within you. And now, as the light rises over your life, remember this: you are not waiting for a good day, you are commanding one. You are not chasing favor, you are creating it with your words. You are not a victim of circumstance, you are a vessel of light. The morning listens to you. Creation responds to you. Heaven backs you. Earth recognizes you. So speak until light fills every corner of your world. Because when you release the language of light, even darkness must bow to your voice.